I have to say that this story about council tax hike, an average of £2,000 a household, we are inundated here with furious messages. We've got Peter saying, look, council tax is already high enough. A rise on it is the last thing people need. Samantha says, I won't be paying any more council tax, sorry, so I think I'll be going to prison. I cannot afford £2,000 a year. One more, Gibbo says, I'm 57, I look after a housebound partner, I'm a single wage earner. How do I pay more council tax? This is the straw that might break the camel's back.
It might be. It's an unpopular tax, but if you want services, they've got to be funded, and central payments are being cut year after year, and already Northamptonshire gone bankrupt, Slough's gone bankrupt, Croydon's gone bankrupt. You've now got Kent and Hampshire Tory councils gone bankrupt because there are massive pressures on them to deliver those services, particularly social care, because so many of them are imposed in law, but central government squeezed them. The Conservatives brought in a cap on council tax rises, said you couldn't have a local rise over, I think it's 2.99%, go up 3%, without a local referendum, intended to keep it down. But if you keep squeezing the lemon, at some point it's going to be dry.
Andrew, I mean, it's another Conservative manifesto pledge. We were said at the top of the programme, people will wonder why they bother voting for parties if once the party's in power, it just rips up the manifesto.
I get that, but I never agreed in the first place, actually, with Tory council, a government telling a local council how much it can raise. It's not. It should be up to the local council, in my view. And if you don't like it, kick them out.
Right, locally.
Locally, it's meant to be a local council. Now, you could start in my local council, Camden Council, by saying to the chief executive, do you really need to be paid £250,000 a year? Because it's astonishing, the salaries that are being paid. There's ways you can cut the money there. However, local councils haven't been able to operate as local councils for a long time, which is why we've got some going bust. And social care is provided through the local council.
Well, you say that you might disagree with that manifesto pledge, but here it is in black and white. Local people will continue to have the final say on council tax, being able to veto excessive rises.
But they don't, because these referendums have never happened.
But you know what the UK Conservative government here is? Passing the buck. It's I'm going to squeeze your funding centrally. If you want to increase it locally, you can be unpopular. I mean, it's quite clear.
Yeah, but that's what local councils are about.
I also agree the cap should never have been in place, but we went through a period, people may not feel it now, but we went through a period after the cap came in, I think it was 2012 or 2013, a very, very low council tax rises. Now, the bills come in, I look at myself and I go, whoa, that's a lot, and then you pay in 9, 10 instalments over the month. But you're paying for a lot of services.
I know, Kevin. But
sorry,
people's energy bills have already doubled year on year.
I get it.
The unit price cap ends in the spring, which means people's energy bills are going to go up further. I'm seeing on our iPad from viewers getting in touch, the same phrase we heard about energy bills: can't pay, won't pay.
Civil disobedience.
It's not the people understand their money, their taxes go towards vital services. But how are you supposed to pay if you can't?
But don't blame your local council. The government has deliberately reduced spending and put a greater burden on the local council. So people blame the local council and don't blame the government. A government, let's not forget, crashed the economy. That's why interest rates went up. We saw the pound fall. There's been terrible decisions on Brexit.
So what's going to happen? What's going to happen when a family looks at its family budget and does the sums on the calculator or in their head and says, well, I just, as you say, I simply can't afford this. I can't pay. What happens then?
Well, you can get assistance through benefits, but I think what's going to happen
here... You can get what, sorry?
People will get assistance through benefits, but I think what will happen, Richard, I think local councils will have to make fundamental decisions. Do they continue to fund libraries? How many families go to libraries? Now, I haven't been to a library for 30 years. I used to go to the library all the time.
I relied on my local library.
I did.
When I was bringing
my
up the children, but when I was bringing up the children, it was a place of sanctuary. Because I knew I could sit in the library, my 3 little boys could make themselves at home, run around looking at the books, looking at the comics. There was a wonderful librarian who always had good ideas for what boys should read. And honestly, if that library... I look at that library every day because the supermarket is next to it, and it's still there, and I just... I fear the day that there is a sign that goes up.
Well, that's what I think.
Saying this library is
No,
going
I'm
to
not
be
saying they
closed
should
down.
close libraries, but what I'm saying is these are decisions councils.
I know, but
start
what
to
you're
make.
suggesting, Andrew, is that they're not necessarily essential services.
Because
I'll tell you
how many
what,
people
my
use
goodness.
them? How many people use libraries?
Well,
I don't know.
Well,
I'm just saying this is what councils will start a debate
Well,
about.
and since, I'll tell you another thing, as a young man, I also relied on the 1 o'clock club. Now, the 1 o'clock club got cut. So since 1 o'clock clubs have been cut, I can imagine that a lot more mums do go, and dads, you know, because dads as well,
and
bringing up children.
many councils...
Sorry, can you just describe what was the 1 o'clock club?
That was a council-funded service, which meant that if you had little children, you could go along and there would be child carers there who would just take, just for an hour or so, take the pressure off, give you some advice. You could have a cup of tea. There were toys. You know, I mean, these are just... If you need to get out of the house, or perhaps lots of families don't have outside space.
Of course.
If you went to a library... Andrew, you'd see they're transformed now. They're offering advice on all sorts of... Like, got computers for people who don't have Wi-Fi at home. They're also, in many areas, been turned into warm centres for people who won't be able to afford their heating bills.
True.
But local authorities and councillors have been battling with these decisions for years, trying to protect libraries, trying to protect parks, trying to protect so many services.